Welcome to the Star Podcast.
Whoa. Star Podcast.
Welcome to the Star Podcast, hosted by Natt. Each week, we share tips and stories from safety, trucking, and recruitment, and everything in between. Listen now.
Welcome back to another episode of the Star Podcast. Today I get to sit down with Stephen Roberts, who's the Field Operations Manager out of the Natt Safety Brockville location. As you may have heard previously, Natt Safety has their head office out of Lively with locations in Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, Brockville, and Vaughan. So there's offices spread across Ontario, and I got to sit down with Stephen, who works out of the Brockville location. So that was great. Stephen shares a bit about his career, a little bit about what he does at Natt Safety in the Brockville location, and then he shares some really good tips at the end. So I would highly recommend listening to this episode and make sure you listen right to the end where he shares some really good safety tips. Listen now. So I'm very excited to welcome Stephen Roberts to the show.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So I was just hoping to get started that you could share a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Yes, well, first I'd like to say thank you from Brockville, Ontario, the Eastern Ontario down along the St. Lawrence River and the Eastern Seaway. Through my life, I grew up in the Maitland area, just outside of Brockville, so always in Eastern Ontario. I went to school in Montreal at John Abbott College. I took energy management and process controls, which wound myself back up working for DuPont Canada in Maitland. I worked there for 5 years, and that was really good because a bunch of different trades. I was a chemical operator working with hydrocarbons. I also got trained to work the wastewater treatment plant there. Had to get my license through CN to be a brakeman to move our own trains when we're on the night shift for loading rail cars. So really learned about all kinds of chemicals, different trades, really beneficial moving forward. And then unfortunately DuPont that section was bought out, created Invista. Was bought by the Koch brothers from the US. And at that point, then I was laid off and decided to shut down part of the Maitland facility. And I started working in Cardinal, Ontario for 20 years at Ingredion, formerly Canada Starch or Casco company. I started there as an operator, processing corn, and then worked my way up to shift supervisor of the sugar refinery. Where there you can make like 1.5 million pounds a day of corn syrup. Wow. And then I became the trainer for the last 3 years while I was there. So from there, a gentleman who works with Natt Safety now, Wayne Reed. Him and I have known each other quite a while. We were scout leaders as our kids grew up. We're Beavers and Cubs and Scouts. We were leaders together. And he called me up when this job came up. He thought I was a good fit for the position. I said, yep, I would absolutely love that job. So the next day I applied for it and I had an interview the next Monday. Some of my experiences, mostly through Ingredion. Also train and lead Six Sigma for continuous improvements. I'm a Green Belt certified, worked on a project there to optimize one of the production channels. Also do Kaizen events. I'm a facilitator for that. So that's ways of doing continuous improvement. Get people in a room for about 3 days, work on a problem. And that's where you want people that know nothing about the job to the experts. So there's no stupid questions, all ranges, which is a great way of doing troubleshooting for a long-term process. I was also a member of the Joint Health and Safety Committee. And then for 20 years this July, I will have been on the volunteer fire department there as well. So I'm a captain, training officer, and for the last 4 years, I've been teaching with Ontario Fire College, traveling around the province, teaching the NFPA standards, where I also do Firefighter 1, 2, and Hazmat from the awareness level right up to the technician level. I also do that. Wow. And on the other sides, I just love doing kayaking, hiking, so a little bit of spare time. I'll live close to the water, so I'll throw the kayak on the car, drive down to the nearest watering hole and get out there and paddle for a little bit. And I just love hiking and checking out waterfalls and chutes, stuff like that. That's about it for me for now anyways. So.
Oh, that's awesome. So I like that you mentioned that Wayne mentioned this job to you. Can you just share what your current job title is and what you do for the company?
Yes, my current role right now is the Field Operations Manager for Eastern Ontario. So covering pretty much from Trenton to the Quebec border and north towards Chalk River. And if we have any jobs in through there, it's kind of our responsibility. So primarily my role will be checking on job sites, help provide rescue plans, safety assessments, also doing equipment checks here within the office, and going over all the job scheduling and make sure everybody has all their equipment and checking in on them as well. Really managing people, equipment, schedules, Not much different than what I did at Ingredient, just a different atmosphere. Where now I'll get to travel a bit more. So lots of day travel, but which is nice to get outside. I'm not stuck in an office all day.
Oh, that's great. So typically, what have jobs been in the past? Like, what type of jobs are you going out to and managing?
Yeah, we've had some out in the city of Ottawa, as an example. Some there to go inside a water tank for someone's doing inspections of the concrete walls. So we monitor the air for them in case anything ever happened. We've been a rebuilding of a power dam area, rebuilding on the inside. So monitoring the air while they do grinding, hot work. We've also provided hot work and safety watch services. And in industrial places, going inside tanks where they go to clean or rebuild them, or even relining tanks with whether it's a special painting lining or a rubber lining. We're there to monitor the air and make sure it's safe for work. And in case something happens, we can get the people out in a safe fashion and provide first aid as well.
Okay, great. So a lot of confined space
situations. Primarily
Yeah.
devolved around confined space work for operations side. But through Natt Safety, we also provide training as well. So we'll train people to be confined space rescuers, give that training on awareness, what to do, the different positions. And we have a mobile trailer unit so that you can book training. We can go to the customer and train. And if they don't have a facility to train at, I pull along the mobile training unit, open it all up. We go through different tunnels, vertical rescues, horizontal rescues, make everybody go through it. It's a 3-day course. We have even timed obstacle courses they have to go through, which makes it nice.
Perfect. So. Do you enjoy what you're doing right now?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, such a change. Yeah. It's great. Like I said, a little bit of day travel, which is nice. It's getting out, getting some sunshine. For the last couple of years as a trainer, I was stuck in an office and no windows and working on procedures and then training operators, which is nice as well. So it was a great job. That really makes you learn a lot of details and helps with supervising other people and making sure things are done properly. So it's nice when you go to a customer and they come to audit you or check on you and have all your paperwork in order, or maybe recommendations for changes and act on it right away and send it out for approvals. So they like to see fast change pace rather than excuses. So we make sure we get the job done and that everybody agrees upon as well.
Great. Do you have any interesting stories you might want to share?
I always like to talk about situational awareness, and that's talking about where you're working, what's going on at the time, where the work is going on in the area. A lot of people get kind of a tunnel vision or the deer in the headlights. I'm working on this tank and that's it. But when you work in industrial places, one tank feeds another or pumps or conveyors. Somebody thinks, oh, while we're down, I'll quickly go fix this piece of equipment without checking to see what else is in the area. So I remember working before at a facility and then a tank on the floor above us. And I thought, well, it's already isolated. We'll just drain this tank and it'll be okay. But that pipe went down to where we're working on the floor below. So everything was isolated properly, but we went all over the floor and we were on an in-ground tank. So all the product started to come down into the tank and no work was scheduled. So it was something unexpected. Person had the right intentions, I'm going to, while we're down, I'll be productive and I'll get that quickly. It'll take 5 minutes. And then not realizing without going down to check, sometimes these shortcuts, you do it for the right reasons, but then there's the safety hazard where that's why planning always comes into effect. Look at it. What do you need? What else is happening? And on the fire side in that work is understanding your people and your coworkers, right? Getting to know them so that, people's personalities, or some people always hyper and excited to go. And then the one day you're getting ready to do work and then they kind of slow down or they're hesitant. It's kind of like, maybe we should have a little chat first. Are you okay to go inside that confined space? Because you seem to be a little off. Are you sick? Are you hungover? Are you, or are you just not feeling mentally right? There's something going on. Maybe there's stress at home or work. They're just off, not normal. That's something to clue in. And sometimes you talk to people at accidents and, oh yeah, well, that guy before it started, they were acting this way. Like, well, why didn't you stop them? People are afraid to speak up, or the opposite. Someone's usually quiet and also they're really excited that day. It's like, holy, settle down a little bit, So it's kind of that thing I always say, get to know your people that you work with, understand them, right? Get that comfort level, but don't get complacent. Always be aware and think about everything. That's why check sheets are nice. Go through with other people. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't never be afraid to ask what some people think are stupid questions. Because it's usually something that somebody misses that's afterwards. You're like, oh, jeepers. If this one little thing was done, that never would have happened, right?
Right.
So, and unfortunately, after the fact's too late. That's way too late.
And especially when it comes to safety, it's better to just ask the question. And if it's nothing, okay, great. And then you can move on and know that you've at least asked the question. Yeah, you've brought it up. Oh, yeah,
absolutely, right? And even... Yeah. And it's harder for us because we will go in as contractors and not always know the equipment or the process when we're somewhere. So we really got to push the questions. And I've seen that once before at a facility where all the floor drains were connected. So we're in a tank farm. So there's about 12 storage tanks that share the same space of a floor. And all the floor drains are connected. So they're working on one tank, cleaning the tank. So nothing too hard, just there to do the air monitor. Person goes inside, wash around. Then the air monitor started to go off all kinds of different numbers. They thought, oh, something wrong with the air monitor. Everybody get out of the hole. So everybody came out of the tank, followed proper procedures, and then did the bump test again on the air monitor. Said it was good, went back to the tank, readings all over the place. Thought, that's strange. We're just washing this thing. They shouldn't be acting like that. So they left, got a different monitor, came back, same thing happened. So I thought, well, go for a little tour. Something's going on here. This might be right. And we walked out down around, I think, 4 tanks down the row. Went around back, and the flange had product leaking, and it was caustic soda. So it was going to the floor drain. So the fumes from the caustic were going through the floor drain. And then when we went back over to our tank, the floor drain was right around the corner. So it was actually reading product from the leak somewhere else, like totally by chance. That's the whole point of taking air monitoring, right, is making sure these things happen so fast, not always in your control. So that was a good cue of, the attendant thought, something's not right. Everybody get out. And then, okay, let's try another air monitor is always your default because they didn't see anything leaking or smell anything. I mean, and smell is never your first sign of should you go or not. That's why you always want the air monitor. But then when the second one didn't work, was doing the same thing, it kind of clued in that something else has to be happening. And then when they walked around the building, no one knew that leak just started. So when they look back at the trends, they could tell like 5 minutes before that leak started. So the blew a gasket on a flange. So they were lucky. Everybody was doing the job. Everybody's being attentive, and that was pretty much textbook the way they did it. So you always have to have that awareness around you.
Absolutely. Well, I love that you ended the podcast with those good tips, like being aware of your team and their behavior, and then trusting your instinct, or trusting the data when something says there's something wrong, even if you don't see or smell or hear anything, like trusting that and double checking and then taking a look around the site or whatever, just to make sure.
Yeah, like most industrial places are designed so safely that when something does happen, it's usually 2 or 3 of those fail safes have happened at the same time. It sounds bad. Maybe something failed and they know, well, we can wait to fix that because we also have this and this. And then by chance, that other thing fails in between. They're trying to schedule the job, or maybe they're waiting for a part. And now that second thing happens, then, and we're in trouble. We're like, well, what's the chances of that? Well, it just happened. So if someone's listening right now and they're maybe in the Brockville area, or they're just in that Eastern Ontario area, and maybe they have some confined space work, or they need maybe like a safety consulting or rescue plan, that kind of thing, what's the best way to contact you? Yeah, they can start off by going to nattgroup.ca, or they can give us a call here at the office. It's 613-739-9455. And myself will talk to them. They have any training needs, any concerns, sometimes just questions. They can come out and have a look and then give them advice on something of, yes, this will require confined space, or you need to do an official hazard assessment. Our salesperson can talk to them. It's really, a lot of it is just people. A lot of people are building businesses now. And usually you talk to Mr. Labor, those are the dangerous spots. They don't quite know everything yet. So they're the best ones to call. If you're not sure, just call somebody. We can always talk and help try to clarify things if we can. And then go from there, right? Build a business, build partnerships so everybody grows together, make everything positive and everybody nice and safe.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I think this was really great getting to sit down to talk to you. It's nice to actually sit down and get to know a little bit more about you and hear about your different experiences. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. This is great.
Star Podcast.
Whoa. Star Podcast.